Oh, thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute to this forum. I'm very excited because today, finally, this report on the circular economy in cities and regions, on which we have been working for the past 2 years, is finally out. So everybody can have access to the report. This is the result of a survey that we carried out across more than 50 cities and regions, interviews with more than 300 stakeholders, 6 case studies from Europe, Sweden, Spain, Netherlands, Ireland. So you will find lots of examples, practices, but also consideration in terms of how feasible is to transition from a linear to a circular economy for a city, what the obstacles are, and how to move forward. So I have 10 minutes and I choose to share with you the 5 key messages that, of course, just as a hint of what you can find in this report. But I think these key messages perhaps can resonate in many of the audience and also the speakers' activities. So let's see. The first message is that the circular economy is about economy. There is a strong narrative in relation to the climate change, of course, and how the circular economy can contribute to carbon neutral goals, for example, in many cities. But there is a strong economic and socioeconomic argument that has been taken up from several cities and regions that we have interviewed and that worked with us. We know that by 2050, 55% of the population will be urban. There will be 9 billion on this earth, that the global material use will double compared to the level of 2011, and that 50% of greenhouse gases emission are related to materials. But we also know that GDP is projected to quadruple by 2060, and the cities account for 60% of national GDP. So we think, and this is what is also being argued, for example, if we look at the data I reported here from the European Commission and in relation to the circular economy action plan, is that the circular economy can really bring benefit in terms of production savings, estimated to be at the level of 600 billion euros in the European Union by 2030. There is a possibility of creating opportunity jobs creating opportunities for jobs because activities like repairing, upgrading, remanufacturing are more labor intensive than mining and manufacturing, and there are benefits in terms of economic growth and material saving. So this is what the cities are taking into account when they are embarking in this transition. Now, the second message is that the circular economy is not a new concept, but it is definitely incipient for many cities. So if we look at the result of this survey, we asked cities what is the level of perception they have in relation to the advancement towards a circular economy, and 57%, so more than half of our sample, replied that they are newcomers, meaning that they are now starting the first steps towards this transition in terms terms of many activities in relation not only to waste, but also to sectors like water, like energy, like building and construction, like food, textile, culture. There are lots of activities going on, and most of these activities are usually collected into long-term strategies. And from our sample, 51% of cities and regions interviewed are now working on circular economy related initiatives that will have long-term goals. The third message is to start up and scale up. Lots of cities and regions, in particular in our survey, 84% of those that we surveyed are using pilots and experimentation to start off circular economy initiative. This means that, for example, there are solutions for modular buildings, and this is what is happening in Groningen in the Netherlands. Or, for example, in Ireland, there are university campus are used as test base for waste prevention, and this university campus can represent, for example, small city size. In Valladolid, in Spain, there are smart technologies applied to collection, but just in the small neighbors, and these are related to the tariff system. So everything is there are lots of initiative in terms of experimentation and piloting, and the next steps is really how to scale them up in order for them to reach the benefit, reach economy of scales, and make these not just an exception, but just as business as usual. The third message is that governance is key. When we asked about obstacles that could hinder the transition towards a circular economy, cities and regions, if you can look at this graph, argue that lack of technical solution is the least of the problem. Technical solutions are available. The problem is how to put them in place, how to implement them, and how to make sure that the governance conditions are in place to make them last. And again, not just as an exception, but as a business as usual. So what are the problems? The problems are basically insufficient financial resources in terms of that, for example, allow for a small scale project because it is risky to invest in some specific initiatives that are can bring a benefit in the long run. There is an inadequacy when it comes to the regulatory framework, for example, when it comes to eco-design, but even in the definition itself of waste, there are several stakeholders complaining or are confused about the fact that when a product is defined as a waste, it cannot be reused. So how to really promote a circular economy with a regulatory framework that allow for this innovation and for the reusing of material. And I just want to mention another obstacle, which is cultural barriers, but also lack of awareness. 2/3 of the cities are confused about that we interviewed and stakeholders that we interviewed during the last 2 years are confused about the concept of the circular economy, what the benefits and the costs are in implementing circular economy in production and consumption processes. So awareness raising is much needed. And let me just conclude with the fifth message, which is then what to do. Once we are aware of these obstacles and the state of the art of the circular economy in cities and regions, what cities and regions can do. And we synthesize this action in 3 range of activities to promote, facilitate, and enable the circular economy. So promoting the circular economy means for cities to lead by examples, for example, through public procurement, engage into a strategic vision that would avoid just having fragmented initiatives in cities, but could allow for a strategic view connecting sectors, increasing awareness and transparency. They can facilitate dialogue across stakeholders, because the circular economy is a shared responsibility. It's not just about governments taking the lead, but it's really engaging stakeholders from different sectors in taking action, and also doing this at the appropriate scale, urban, municipal, but also metropolitan, regional, and in connection with the urban and the rural areas. And enablers, the cities should make sure that the enabling environment for the circular economy is in place. And this means that through regulation, through financing, there are lots of tools that we have collected in this report, for example, in terms of grant, subsidies, specific tax and economic instruments, capacity building programs, but also the need of data and assessment. And that's why we also accompany this, what we call checklist for action, divided in these 3 clusters, with an indicator framework that you can find in the report. So please follow us online. You have here all the website and the link to the report, and we will also organize a webinar for the launch of this report on the 4th of November. Thank you very much for your attention.